sant yàlla.
looy xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay nag doo ci yokku dara.
Jawo Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jawo Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
In the Gambia, we all move to different paces. Time is money, convenience is power, and now both are in your hands. No more long lines, no more late payments, no more missed chances. Not anymore. Because now the Gambia has its own super app, Zap. One app, one tap, endless convenience. Send money instantly, pay your bills in seconds, shop without borders, pay your rides, order your meal, buy your ticket, deposit and withdraw money for absolutely free. No extra charges, no hidden fees, only on Zap Super App. This is not just convenience. This is confidence. This is the future in your hands. And the best part, Zap is born right here. Built for us, designed for every Gambian home, every Gambian dream. So don't wait in the past. Step into the future. Download Zap today on App Store and Play Store and enjoy endless free services. Call us today on our toll-free number 1666 or on 260-0001. Zap. All in one. All for you. Tap in. Zap in.
On the program is Demba Ali Jawo, veteran journalist and first Minister of Information in a Adama Barrow-led government. He since lost his job. He talks about his replacement, just as I talk about my sacking as well. And here we are this morning to talk about elections 2026, because very shortly I'll play you a special message, which as soon as the message ends, it's not by Demba Ali himself, but someone else, but he is closely associated with the effort. DA, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Well, they say that in this country, once you are appointed a minister, you have ventured into the political sphere. So you became a politician the minute you accepted your appointment. When was it? In 2018?
No, I was appointed in 2017, actually.
Okay.
As you said, the first cabinet of President Barrow. You're right. When you're a minister, you are definitely a politician because it's a political appointment. But being a politician and being partisan are two different things altogether. Yeah.
You were a politician, but you were never partisan.
Definitely never a partisan.
Was that one of the reasons you probably were let go ultimately?
I wouldn't know. I mean, up to this day, I've not been told as to why I was let go.
Yeah, but let's just speculate. I mean, okay, definitely you were not as combative, as
Definitely
the current holder who just
I agree, definitely. I mean, that's why I say
you were not going around, defending the draconian laws. In fact, if you could do anything about them, you could have.
In fact, I even set up a committee whose objective was to isolate the draconian laws, I mean, media laws in the country, and we'll see how best we can either repeal them or amend them, to suit the situation.
You are very comfortable with using the adjective draconian to describe them?
Of course, yes. Of course, some of the laws are quite draconian, I mean, they shouldn't be in a democracy whatsoever. Certainly, I agree with that description.
Because he disagrees.
No, I am definitely okay with the draconian. Certain laws definitely are very, very draconian, as far as the media is concerned. So I think they should either be repealed or amended accordingly.
Okay, he talks about, he doesn't use the word amend, he talks about reform.
Well, reform maybe could take place, but I think, amending them or repealing them, I mean, it's still reforming, but I would definitely go for, some of them need to be repealed.
He also talks about safeguards.
Yes, safeguards for who? That's the question. Because when the media who are directly affected by these laws, describe them as draconian, I think, people should accept the fact that they are the people, who are actually concerned, who are directly affected by the laws, and they would know what effect the laws have on their work. Yeah.
And then, I try to bring in the GPU and the Media Council of the Gambia as, regulators of the industry. But he doesn't seem to, think that these two can handle the media, if you like.
I mean, we have all agreed that the media should be self-regulated rather than somebody outside regulating the media. We have agreed that that is the best way to go about it. That was the reason why they set up the Media Council, under the auspices of the GPU, so that they can be able to regulate the media, regulate itself. But if you bring an outside regulator, that could be a different thing altogether. We've seen what happened during the Media Commission, when they attempted. Jammeh attempted to set up the Media Commission here, and there was this a lot of noise about it. And even prior to that, President Jawara also set up the Media Council. Well, it was a press council, the National Press Council, and we and the GPU were definitely up in arms against it. So eventually it had to be repealed. It was later that Jammeh came up with the Media Commission thing, and again, we were not willing to cooperate with them. So, so eventually it had to be repealed. So I don't think government regulating the media is the best way to go about it, no.
All right. Today, as I said, you are here to discuss politics and trying to bring the opposition together so that just as happened in 2016, the coalition led by Adama Barrow, that in 2026, 10 years down the line, there's another change.
Yes, that's quite true. And as we said, there is this initiative to try to bring the opposition parties together in a coalition. And the process has been going on for quite a while now, because I can remember it was in April 2023, 2023 that actually Apex was set up, and it has been talking to the different political parties. But it started with the established political parties, because they had to, I think there were 7 of them altogether. Apex contacted them and see whether, because they started with the established political parties. It was later that when the new formations started coming up, then they started contacting them one by one. But definitely they started with, that is the 7 parties that they first contacted with were APP Sobea, then you had GDC, GFA, that is Gambia for All, then the NUP, National Unity Party, PAP, that is the party of Ibrahim Mane, of Ibrahim Tabora Mane, I can't remember what PAP stands for. Then you had DOI and the UDP. These are the 5 political parties that actually Apex contacted, trying to set up the initiative and discuss it with them. Then later on, because PPP were, even though it was an established political party then, but it had certain issues. One, there was a dispute about leadership, between Keba Jallow and Madike Fall, and then also during the time of Keba Jallow, it was affiliated to the NPP in the Grand Alliance. So we didn't want to, Apex didn't want to engage those parties that were already in the Grand Alliance. Because they are already with the NPP. So they wanted to contact the other parties that were actually not affiliated. So it was later, after PPP resolved their, leadership crisis and actually indicated that they have pulled out of the Grand Alliance, that then Apex contacted them. The process is still on. Actually, they have not come on board on the Apex thing. So as you see from the press release, which was recently released by Apex, 7 of the parties have already signed to that the Apex initiative, and negotiations are still going on. So apart from this, as you can see, out of these 7 parties that were first contacted, 2 of them are yet to be on board. That is DOI and GDC. For one reason or the other, they are yet to come on board. But it is never too late. So negotiations are still ongoing. And then, among the new formations, we also had the PPA of Dr. Usman Gajigo, Tabah Reumi of Amadou Ka, and then UMC of Talib Ahmed Ben Suda. So these are the new formations that have already gone on board the Apex initiative. But there are still others who are actually coming on board, because we've got a lot of new formations.
1,010 parties.
That's right. So we're expecting more. The process is still going on. Yeah.
Are you surprised at the GDC's reluctance, given the experience of 2016?
Not very quite surprised.
Well, let me put it in another way. Yeah. Are you hopeful that GDC will come on board, given what we experienced in 2016, when almost every other opposition party joined, the coalition? We didn't have as many parties then as we now have.
But I agree. But I think the failure of the GDC to join the coalition then was a blessing in disguise for the coalition. Because if they had joined, I have absolutely no doubt that Yahya Jammeh would have still been here. Because most of the votes that Kande got actually were supposed to vote for Yahya Jammeh, and they would have never voted for anybody else. So that was, as I often say, it was a blessing in disguise. If Kande had joined the coalition, definitely, the votes that went to him would have gone to Yahya Jammeh, and he would have won, because the margin of victory was very, very, not very
because Kande started out, being a member of parliament under the Yahya Jammeh's party, the APRC.
Absolutely.
So when he, hived away and had his own party, he took away.
Absolutely. And those people were would have never voted for anybody else. So that is the thing. So that's the thing. So, of course, there are a lot of lessons to be learned from the 2016 experience. I'm sure whoever is coming to form a coalition will take that into consideration, the lessons that have been learned from the 2016 coalition, because we've seen where the coalition ended, and so that's it. Those are the lessons actually everybody seems to be taking on board, as far as these negotiations are concerned.
And as I said earlier, DA is here to talk about this Apex initiative and who is at the forefront of this initiative. Dr. J. Cisse Krubali, who has spoken out for the first time, urging all parties, movements, and independent voices to join her initiative. Her call is for unity, dialogue, and a credible alternative that can deliver meaningful change at the polls. We ran her message earlier on in the opening hour of the program. Here she is again with her message for the Gambians as chairperson of the Apex initiative.
Morning, my fellow Gambians. It is with heart full of hope and a deep sense of duty that I speak with you today. I am both delighted and profoundly privileged to share these words with you. With the consent of our political stakeholders, I address you in my capacity as the chairperson of the Apex initiative. I want to talk about where we began and the path we must now walk together. But let me take you back to early 2023. A small group of us looked at our beloved Gambia with clear eyes and heavy hearts. We saw the challenges. We felt the urgent need for change. But anyone watching our nation knows this. Genuine progress is impossible without first removing the obstacle that block it. In plain terms, our situation demands a new way forward. And the most powerful way to get there is together, through a united, credible coalition. That recognition, that simple truth, is what gave birth to Apex. So we got to work. We built a team of volunteers, no partisan ties, no political allegiance, just Gambians committed to one goal. We studied, we listened, we crafted a plan, and then we began the most important work, reaching out, building trust, engaging every major opposition party and leader. And today, because of that work, I can tell you plainly, the project to build a united coalition is no longer just an idea. It is a reality. This moment is more than just a statement. It is an invitation, An invitation to every party that believes in the peaceful transfer of power. An invitation to every citizen tired of division, every young person ready for change, and every Gambian who whispers, it is time for something new. We extend our hands, we open the door to the opposition. We say, let us build a coalition not of convenience, but of conviction. To the people, we say, this is your vessel. Your hope will be its engine. We at Apex are here as impartial brokers, honest facilitators, and not political players. But we cannot do this alone. We need your voice. We need your energy and we need your will. So let us rise to this task together. Let us build this coalition not just to win an election, but to usher in a new era. An era of justice, of opportunity, of dignity for all Gambians. Because if we dare to believe, if we dare to unite, if we dare to strive as one people with one purpose, then we will not just change a government. We will reclaim our future. We will build a Gambia that works for every single one of us. Please join us. Stand with us. Let's build this Gambia together. Let's begin this work together. Thank you, and may God bless our journey.
And that's Dr. J. Cisse Krubali, the chairperson of the Apex initiative. She's not with us here in the studio, but on her behalf, we have Demba Ali Jawo, to people like me, just DA, former leader of the Gambia Press Union, the GPU. We spoke about the GPU with the previous guest, Dr. Ismaila Cisse. Also, Minister of Information, actually the first Minister of Information appointed by President Adama Barrow, who this Apex initiative is seeking to replace. DA, in your view, what are the biggest obstacles preventing opposition unity? In other words, from the preventing the opposition from presenting a united front. Is it ideology? Is it personality? Is it trust?
Yeah, I'm not sure about ideology. I don't think there is much difference between the ideologies of the different parties in this country. Maybe DOI could be a socialist oriented party, probably, a little bit of difference in ideology with the rest. But I think personality is another factor. Sometimes we hear, the different supporters of the different parties on each other's throats, criticizing each other and all those things. And again, of course, a lot of other issues as well involved in trying to get a coalition. And again, probably some of the parties may insist on a different kind of coalition from the others. But in a coalition, what is important in a coalition is to sit down on one table, around the table, and discuss and agree on what steps you're going to take before you. It's not a question of one party saying that this is what is going to happen and then everybody follows them. So that is going to it's not going to help in forming a coalition. I think the parties need to sit down around the table and discuss what step after step as to what needs to be done. Because forming a coalition just to remove a government is one thing. We've seen what happened in 2016. There was this coalition which removed the Jame. But what happened was that the coalition ended up, tearing itself apart, because the way the negotiations were done were not very cohesive enough. So in that case, it didn't work. I think those are all lessons that need to be learned. When forming another coalition, so that you can avoid those pitfalls.
So you've been working on this initiative since 2023, right?
Yes, that's true.
Do you see any realistic pathway for the opposition to overcome the divisions we just highlighted there before December?
Yes, it's possible. I mean, as I say, it is just a question of discussing what needs to be agreed on. I mean, as equals. Okay, I mean, you say maybe some of the parties are much bigger than the others. I mean, membership-wise and other things. But all needs to be, I mean, discussed on the table. And I think it's a possibility because, I mean, we at Apex, we found that, there is a lot of commitment among the different parties to actually form a coalition. Despite all these hitches and differences and other things. So I think it is possible and it can be done. I see no reason why not, yeah.
How do you deal with the case of the UDP, which apparently is one of those parties, subscribing to the idea, given their position, which is that any flag bearer has, any coalition that the UDP is a part of, if it has to come up with a flag bearer, that flag bearer has to be from the UDP. How do you deal with that situation?
Well, yeah, that's an interesting aspect. But as we often emphasize, the role of Apex is actually to bring together different stakeholders, and they are the people who are going to agree on what format it's going to take. It is not up to Apex to tell them this is the format. I mean, as far as Apex is concerned, it's just to create the platform where the different actors will come and discuss what needs to be done. So eventually, if they come to agree that it's going to be a party-led coalition, it's well and good. As far as Apex is concerned, we're going to go with that. If they agree on another format whatsoever, I mean, the objective is definitely just to bring them together and let them talk among themselves and see what eventually they're coming to come up with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you see any role for civil society in Apex and even ordinary citizens?
Yes, but maybe not at this stage because it's a delicate stage we are on. The different stakeholders are actually negotiating among themselves. So, just Apex just creating the platform for them to. So probably if you bring outsiders in there, I mean, it's sort of muddy the situation. So that is why it's a delicate stage we are on, and maybe we should allow that process to continue until at a certain level when, a certain level of agreement has been reached, then probably others can come in and see how best they can be able to reinforce the situation.
Well, I was thinking, civil society, for instance, working on the principle of hearing MPs say, well, I will not do anything that my people don't ask me to do. We had a lot of that on the FGM thing. I will only vote the way my people, instruct me to vote. So what if we got these people to say, well, listen, we believe in the Apex initiative and we want, our party to subscribe to the initiative.
Well, of course, now that the Apex initiative is out in the open and everybody knows what Apex is doing, the initiative and all other things, I mean, why not? The civil society can, put pressure on their different party leaders and political formations and pressure them to kind of join the initiative. But as I said, as far as Apex is concerned, definitely the role is just to bring them around the table and give them the platform so that they can talk among themselves. But as I said, civil society can play a role there by urging the different, political formations and party leaders to carry on with it. Yeah.
And if the opposition succeeds in uniting, how might that change the political landscape and the balance of power against President Barrow and the PPP and the parties supporting did I say PPP, NPP in government?
There is always power and strength in unity. So it's important, rather than going out as individual entities, the different political parties, if they come together in a coalition, definitely I think they stand much more chance than each one of them going against President Barrow at this stage. Because we know that President Barrow, with his grand coalition, has a lot of power and resources and everything behind them. And, Gambia being a poor country with the people poverty level very, very high among the people. So, I mean, resources and money can change a lot. So I think if the opposition definitely succeed in coming together in a single formation, I mean, definitely they stand much chance in this particular instance. Yeah.
You've been both a journalist and a government insider. From that vantage point, how do you assess the credibility of this initiative compared to others? We know that even before you people announced the Apex initiative, there were moves by others also to bring the opposition together in a united platform. We don't know what the result of that has been, or how those negotiations are going. But in terms of credibility, how do you compare the Apex initiative with those?
Yeah, actually, Apex is aware of the existence of other groups which are trying to bring the opposition, in a form of coalition. In fact, Apex has already started the trying to contact those. In fact, contacted those some of those people, some of those groups, and try to see how best we can be able to coordinate. Because the objective is the same. That is to try and bring the opposition in a coalition, in a cohesive coalition. And rather than each one doing their own thing, Apex thinks that it is necessary to talk to those people concerned and see how best we can be able to coordinate the situation. And the talks are ongoing. I can assure you on that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how will you ensure that personality clashes and mistrust do not derail the entire effort?
Well, I'm not sure whether Apex has the power or the capability to be able to to deal with that when it comes to personality clashes. But as I said, the objective of Apex is to bring them to the table and discuss all those issues, including, their personal differences and other things, and see how best they can be able to approach things from, a united point. And it would not be easy because personality differences are definitely quite obvious in some of these parties. But I think when they sit down around the table, probably they can iron all those things out and come to an amicable approach as far as the formation of a coalition is concerned.
You describe yourselves as impartial. How do you guarantee neutrality when dealing with parties that have competing interests?
Well, that's another issue. But I can assure you that all the members of Apex, as far as I know, do not belong to any political party whatsoever. They are quite impartial, because that is very, very important when you're bringing people, different political groups, with different ideologies, different perspectives about a lot of things. Definitely, you need to be seen to be impartial, or else it will be difficult for people, if they suspect that you sympathize or support one of their other parties or something of the sort. Probably it would be difficult for them to have that much confidence in your ability to negotiate bringing them together in a cohesive coalition. So that is it. Absolutely, I can assure you that the members of Apex, even though they are all volunteers but very, very impartial as far as politics is concerned. As I say, the being partisan and being political are different things. Everybody. I believe that we as human beings, we are all political in nature, but being partisan is another thing, and we try as much as possible to be non-partisan as far as Apex is concerned.
So, what safeguards are in place to prevent the Apex initiative from being co-opted by one party or faction?
No, it's definitely not going to happen. What Apex intends to do is, as soon as we get the parties to agree on the principles of forming a coalition, probably they come to the stage of selecting maybe an individual as the flag bearer of the coalition, then Apex would eventually fade out. Because the objective of Apex is to see that the coalition succeeds and it is formed. As soon as that happens, then Apex fades out, and the members of Apex will kind of go back to wherever they were. I can definitely assure you that we are not interested in becoming a member of any of the political parties, and we will never do that, because that is our credibility hinges on that. If we eventually join, if any of one of us eventually joins one of the parties, then of course, honestly, that is not going to tell well on us.
Okay, you've just told us what will happen if you succeed in uniting the opposition. What if unity fails? Do you have a plan B?
Well, it would be difficult to put up a plan B because, we've done it in such a way that we are going in stages. In fact, we have two different councils. One is called the Principals Council, where the different actors represented. We will meet once or every 2 weeks or whatever, then each of the political groups has the right to nominate 3 people to represent them in that particular Principals Council, where they are discussing the strategies and the operational matters of the coalition. Then there is also the negotiations committee. That is the committee which is going to discuss in detail matters about what needs to be done to form a coalition. Again, the different political formations can send in 3 representatives. So that these 2 councils have been meeting regularly to discuss these issues. And eventually the objective is to set up a very, very coherent kind of roadmap so that, eventually when everybody accepts those steps, step by step, at the end of the day, probably it would make it much easier for them to come together because they would have actually passed through all states and agreed to whatever is discussed. And then at the end of the day, probably maybe the last item would be to select the joint flag bearer. And that's it. After that is done, then you would have had the coalition in place, and then the role of Apex would have been kind of completely minimized.
Yeah. And who is funding the activities of the Apex initiative? I mean, you describe yourselves as a volunteer-led group.
Yeah. Again, I would tell you that not a single butut has come from anybody outside of Apex. It's the members who are contributing to fund this process. Not even the parties have been asked a butut to contribute so far. Everything that we are doing, is being 100% funded by the members of this voluntary group. Not a single butut has been obtained from outside as yet. The objective is, as soon as we set up the coalition, probably we hand over the responsibility to the different parties, and they will be responsible then for funding the coalition. But as far as the process is going on, this is it's the role of Apex to fund it, and that's it. Completely funded by us.
We heard earlier from the chairperson, Dr. J. Sise Krubali. Who are the other members of the initiative apart from yourself, Demba Ali Jawo?
Yeah, again, we try, because at this point of the negotiations, we don't want to publicize ourselves as well, because I happen to be the country representative here. All the others are actually abroad. But at the moment, probably we wouldn't like to disclose names here because it's at a delicate stage we are on, and we don't want people to be involved in whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I would rather not disclose names here. Of course, we all know JC. She's the chairperson of the Apex initiative, and I being on the ground here, representing Apex on the ground. But the others are actually very independent and non-partisan people. But at the moment,
have they always been non-partisan? Have they never been, politicians themselves? Or?
As far as I know, none of them have ever been involved in. Of course, they may have sympathized with one political formation or another, but being members of political parties, no, not that I know of. Yeah.
Okay. And just finally, what message, might you like to, leave the listening audience with?
Yeah, the message is, as this process is on, and we, at the moment, we have 7 political parties and formations which have already signed to the agreement, but none of the parties has so far been committed, to going all the way. They are free to leave at any time or free to. So, but again, other parties outside, other political formations outside, we're encouraging him to come on board so that, the process is open and, the door is open and we want everybody to be on board, because as long as we are not on the NPP Grand Coalition, I think it is, you should try and join the Apex coalition so that at the end of the day, at least, it will have a formidable coalition, opposition coalition against the incumbent.
Demba Ali Jawo, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
sant yàlla. looy xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay te nag doo ci yokku dara.
Jawo Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jawo Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
In the Gambia, we all move to different paces. Time is money, convenience is power, and now both are in your hands. No more long lines, no more late payments, no more missed chances, not anymore. Because now the Gambia has its own super app, Zap. One app, one tap, endless convenience. Send money instantly, pay your bills in seconds, shop without borders, pay your rides, order your meal, buy your ticket, deposit and withdraw money for absolutely free. No extra charges, no hidden fees, only on Zap Super App. This is not just convenience. This is confidence. This is the future in your hands. And the best part, Zap is born right here. Built for us, designed for every Gambian home, every Gambian dream. So don't wait in the past. Step into the future. Download Zap today on App Store and Play Store and enjoy endless free services. Call us today on our toll-free number 1666 or on 260-0001. Zap. All in one. All for you. Tap in. Zap in.